Well, let's go through documents, but I didn't even have to go in this Monday.
Happy holidays, everyone. We actually began this meeting officially at approximately 6:41. And called the meeting to order. We have 3 trustees present. Unfortunately, 2 are absent due to extraordinary circumstances. George Benak and Brian Cook. We moved, John Harrison took us to executive session. We just exited at 7:00 p.m. No votes were taken, no actions were taken. So with that, we will move to public comments. Chantel, if you see any hands raised, no? Okay. Okay, then we will move forward for the agenda to board administration. Our minutes for November 2nd, November 7th are delayed. We should be able to get those posted on the website this week and ratify them at the coming meeting in January. And with that, our most important and exciting news, I'll turn to Pam Moskowitz, who, in addition to her other responsibilities, has chaired the search committee for the library.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to the board to move for the board to grant me as chair of the search committee for library director to extend a formal offer to the agreed candidate whose name to be publicly announced in January, if not sooner, pending the candidate's advisement to their board of trustees as director of the Chappaqua Library for the salary of $135,000 beginning on February 12th, 2024.
That's
So I
excellent.
have a second.
John.
Okay.
Can you give us a little more color on the
Sure. So,
anonymous candidate?
so the candidate has been a successful library director for peer libraries for many years. References checked out, all positive, and comes with a very strong history with working very well with staff and each community that this person has worked in. I would like to thank the search committee, which is made up of another trustee, George Benak, Chantel Pena, our staff assistant, Denise Minson, adult department head, Kristen Acasella, who is Friends Vice President, and Carolyn Resnick, our interim library director, for their time, positive attitude, and 100% collaborative work that we have all done together. It has been a pleasure and an honor to work with this group of people. And I thank them publicly as well as quietly for all of their hard work and teamwork, most importantly. So thank you.
Thanks to everyone, because that's, a search committee is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And it's heavy lifting.
It's great. Good. Well, just to clarify, while we are respecting the anonymity of this candidate, obviously the board has, in addition to the search committee, has reviewed their credentials and we're all in agreement. So
Correct.
with that, shall we take a vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, unanimous. And we should note that this is one of the most important actions the board can take, and we would not have proceeded without having pre-cleared the agreement of our fellow trustees, George Benak and Brian Cook, who are also in agreement with this candidate. So just want to note that for the record. Okay, anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you for the great work. I think typically we would discharge the committee. I think we'll wait to officially do so
January.
in probably February.
Okay.
When the individuals here. And I think you had spoken with Carolyn, who has kindly agreed to, stay on.
Yeah, I'll stay on
For that period.
as long as you need, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That's
You know what?
very much
Civil
appreciated.
service stream me up or
We'll sort that all out.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. And I think you've even talked about a couple days or a week of overlap,
Correct.
to ensure a good transition. Okay. I wanted to also introduce a motion. Well, I'll lay it out and then we'll discuss it. We had a complicated morning today, and it was a minor issue, but indicative of, we could encounter more significant ones. So I wanted to put this on the table for the board's discussion. In view of the potential financial cost of any closing, staff paid in full on average, total $7,900 per day, more for longer days. And lack of services available to our community, I move that the board formalize closing procedures for the library through either a new policy and or language in the employee handbook, another way we could do this, with clarification that the recommendation is to be made by the library director to the board of trustees president or vice president in their absence. Citing a rationale, in other words, if today we had issues with power, we had issues with concern for, the stream bed coming onto the parking lot, things like that. As well as, in winter situations, we've relied on, we've spoken to Newcastle Highway Patrol, we've spoken to CCSD's actions, taken that into account. There's been New York State guidance, things like that. So there will be things that will come into play. And if we've got a flooding situation, we can show video to the president, and then ask that the president will decide between a full day closing, which should be extreme cases, a 2-hour delayed opening or a 4-hour delayed opening, or other appropriate course of action, together with communication to patrons. Any action taken to be promptly reflected on the website with explanation and with signage at the driveway circle, front doors, and theater doors. I'm also proposing that all staff, scheduled to work for 2 hours or more past any delayed opening that's agreed, shall be required to come in to work or listed as utilizing PTO for the day.
Should we,
Or,
personal time?
correct, or whatever time off mechanism is appropriate.
That's only if the library operates on a delay, and for whatever reason, they can't get here.
Right.
Okay.
Like,
Can I speak to it?
yeah. So we need a
Okay.
second,
Second.
and then let's discuss.
I'm sorry.
Thank you,
I'm
John.
sorry, George.
Yeah.
Interrupt. We, somewhat of a craziness this morning, okay, and, I think it was a result of, people being very conscientious and starting very early and doing very best in uncertain circumstances as to what the roads were, what other libraries were doing, what the school system was doing, all of those things which go into making a decision.
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Up at 8.
And Sally was here very early, checking things out. And at that point, I have to say there was water coming up into the parking lot, the picture that she sent around. We've talked, and I would like to, before a resolution gets passed here, I would like to be able to talk to staff. And we could come, because we're the ones who know about getting people here, the mechanism and doing it, the optimal amount of time to close, and a window where you can sort of start calling people and saying, okay, it looks as though we're going to be able to. But because when I was here until, I don't know, for a long time, and when I left, there was no power, there was no internet, bill had gone, I was by myself, so I thought, well, there's no point me hanging out here, so I'm going to go home. So, but I really do think that the department heads need to get together and discuss this, and then we can come back with, I think, a reasonable recommendation to the board. And we could, you know, and then it could be sort of a give and take with the board as to how this works and what, you know, we think should happen. I know that when I was in North Salem, I would, well, I didn't call the highway department, but once, because when I did, they said, oh, you gotta close forever, you know, we don't want anybody on the roads, right? Well, that wasn't true. But the schools and everything else, to try, and then I was able to make the decision, oh, I just made it. But it's more complicated here, so I think that if you could wait and give us a chance to talk about it, then we'll come back with some ideas and run them by you and see what you think.
Sure. Well, my goal is to make status policy that we are not just, closing is not the only option. A delayed opening has to be an option, in which
Oh, it
case
does,
people have to
absolutely,
be
yeah.
available to come in. We can't just, you know, because we had power at 1:30.
Yeah, no, I
Which
agree with you.
Was
Absolutely.
impossible to predict.
Yeah. I agree with you that a delayed opening is always, especially when you're talking about snow, it becomes more of something, you know, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll get back to you with something and then with, you know, impact between everybody.
And the school district also will have at times like a 2-hour delay
Yeah.
and then cancel, like
Yeah.
that it can't. But I think that the understanding that, you know, of course, safety comes first.
Yeah.
And the integrity of the building,
Right.
if there's internet, if there's heat, if there's water overflowing in the parking lot,
Yeah.
all of those things have to be taken into consideration. And it's definitely a collaborative, it's a collaborative decision because we, as the board, also have to kind of sort of answer to the public
Yeah.
about, you know, what the decisions that are made here.
Can I ask a question, Jennifer?
Please.
Are you not comfortable just letting the library director make the decision about whether to delay opening or closure?
The difficulty is that there's an inherent conflict of interest because staff are paid with closing. The board has got to weigh in terms of the community, and would be the president. on-
Right. Although,
And that's the way it's always worked. It's always been the library director checks with the president. So that's actually not a change.
I do think though that with most staff that I've ever encountered, and certainly with this staff more than any other, their heart is in the library and in serving the public
course.
and running the programs that they planned.
Worked
that
so
they've
hard
done
for.
And worked so hard for, and are highly developed super egos, you know, and so I think that this is not something where, yes, we got a day off, you know, and we don't have to be here. Okay,
Right.
I don't think it works like that at all.
I would like to say that I'm in support of the library director having the
The
authority
funds.
to close the building. Since I don't work in this structure, I'm not here when these weather conditions happen.
Mhm.
I don't feel as though I would support having the board make the decision, regardless of what past practice was.
I feel like past practice was the director making the decision and just advising. the
I've been
board.
told contrary this
Yeah.
evening.
No, it's, since I've been on the board, it's been the
Some of it
library
happened like in a
director.
closure, but I
makes a
feel like it was the
recommendation.
director that, hey, we're closing, and he would just contact the board president, just
Mhm.
advise of such. It was never, hey, can we?
Not since May 2022.
I don't think we've been closure since then, but
Well, let us get back. We'll talk about it and
Yeah.
we'll see what we'll come up with. Okay? And I think that it'll be something, you know, we can just work on it together, I think, and it'll work out. Because I think everybody has the same interest at heart. Nobody really wants to close because, you know, I mean, it's nice to have some time off, but it's also nice to do what you want to do.
Well, then you've got
Strongly
that much more work the next day.
Yes, or at home, you know, so.
So we're tabling the motion.
Yes. Other board matters, I wanted, we need to initiate weekly meetings. So I think since we're likely, transitioning from myself to Pam, you know, with a board vote to be taken in January, Carolyn.
Okay.
Let's perhaps you can tell us, you know, a couple good timeframes that work for you during the week and we'll try and pair something up. And,
This is for January with me and you.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
and then it'll
Uh-huh.
just be you.
What works?
going.
So, you transition on January first? Or,
No, board meeting in January, which is 23rd. I think.
I'm, my children are here from Canada for, like the first through the sixth or seventh, something like that. So I'm gonna be here
Yeah,
a lot of the
so
time,
start
but
the
that
second
would be.
Yeah, so we can start it after. Okay,
Perfect.
and I'm back in town after the night.
And that's my fault. We should have been checking that off. It was just such a relief to have you join us. Um, I've drafted a new slate of officers. Any commentary on that? You know, we've got a partial board today. I tried to speak verbally with George and Brian. Any thoughts from the two of you? In that regard? Committees, Pam and I spoke and Brian and I spoke. George Benak raised the excellent point that he would like to ride through a budget cycle before chairing the finance committee, which I thought was highly appropriate. So ultimately, I'm proposing and we'll vote on this in January. No change to finance, building and grounds. One thing I was trying to be cognizant of is lessening load for you, because as president, you're going to have a lot more work. So I was going to propose working with John on personnel.
Okay.
And so involved with the handbook, et cetera. Policy and bylaws, no change. Yeah, that's it.
Looks good.
So that ends up with everyone having one chair, every trustee having one chair and one committee member. So you'll have to assess as you roll into president.
Okay.
If that's too much. Then the last issue, two more issues relative to trustees. We wanted to talk about the time commitment, which is really, I think, stressing out the board. And how can we improve upon that? We certainly believe, you know, I think we've all felt that having you join us, thankfully, thank you again, has
Very good people here, you know, and they really step up and run it.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Really, really good.
Well, anyway, it's been a notable change,
Well, thank you.
I think, for the board, in stress level, and hopefully that continues with the addition of a new library director, a full-time library director. Obviously, removing the search committee obligation will help in terms of the amount of time that's taken for two of our board members. We talked about we'd gotten in a habit in early 2023 of 2 meetings a month because we had so much to do. So we're operating under a routine of one formal regular board meeting and one special board meeting a month. Do we need that? Could we go back to calling a meeting only as needed?
I'd like that.
Yeah,
I would support that.
Yeah.
I think that with a new library director coming on board, that meeting twice a month creates a precedent that would not necessarily be helpful. I think that we should be in the business of oversight,
right,
not management.
great. We've already talked about the 3-year term should make things easier. One of the negatives of this time commitment that has been our norm for the last 18 months, is that, you know, I think it makes it very difficult for people who have full-time jobs, full-time employment, children, et cetera, other commitments to really give the time they need to this board. One of the things I wanted to put on the table just for consideration, would be would we be better off with 7 trustees, or does that in and of itself create more work? Does it
I think I think at this time, I think that given the trustee activity over the past years and us settling in with another new director, I think we should just keep it at 5 and try and adopt John's the idea, which I agree with, is much more oversee versus management, and let's just pray for, you know, quiet days
That that
ahead.
suffices.
Yes.
Right. As it should.
Right. Correct, because I do want to go back to what you just said about it's been difficult to manage with a full-time job, full-time family obligations, et cetera, that's not, we don't want to put that out, that's customary and usual as a trustee, that's not how it's supposed to be. So I think, you know, as existing trustees, we want it to be almost the way we think it should be. Just with a little less demands and staying on the focus of the fiduciary responsibility and supervising the director.
And just to add on to that, I actually think that deputize the director to make all sorts of decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then having the director come to us and simply ask for our oversight and approval,
Mhm.
rather than us getting into extenuated conversations regarding issues about a myriad of subjects, which on some level are interesting, but I think there's time commitments that are really
As well as questionably appropriate.
yeah, you know, and I think that I'm hoping that this new library director, given the fact that this person comes with a lot of experience, will have all sorts of tools in the toolkit to be able to make decisions independent of lots of board input. I don't think personally that institutions run well when boards become in the business of shaping decisions that should be run by directors.
Right.
Agree. I think it's been difficult.
It's not been usual times.
Correct, like I can only speak for myself, but we haven't really had usual times.
No, I
Since
agree.
Jennifer and I came
Right.
aboard, we just
Right.
haven't had it. We would like to know what it is like to kind of just be part of, be a trustee that just oversees and,
Right.
we'd like that.
And I also think that it's okay for directors to make decisions where an individual trustee may disagree.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Mhm.
I wouldn't expect a director to make sure that every trustee signs on in advance to every decision they make.
100%.
A trustee makes it, a director makes a decision and a trustee may question that decision. Okay.
Mhm.
It's fine, right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't expect that every decision a director makes needs to be run by me so that they make sure that I have buy-in ahead of time. I think that would be an unreasonable expectation to put on a director. They can certainly check in with me about my opinions,
Mhm.
but I don't feel like I need to weigh in on every director's decision before it comes to the table right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that's my own personal view on the subject.
Apart from the trustee obligations under law.
Well, right,
Which are primarily
in
financial.
school systems,
Correct.
superintendents do not check in with board members every time they have to decide on whether or not to say, close the schools because of snow. That's a decision. And then if a board member has an issue with that afterward, then we can take that up. But trustees cannot be in the position of having to vet decisions that directors make. And then directors have to take responsibility for those decisions and defend them after the fact if they are questioned. I think I don't know, that's how I have, in my almost 30 years working in public institutions where we've had superintendents and boards. That's how I've seen them work most effectively.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Board matters? For finance. Brian and George aren't present. We have in the board packet, thank you, Chantel, the October 23 treasurer's report. Just a few highlights. I know Brian and George have both reviewed this. The revenue collected represented as it should, 50% of the tax levy. Expenses are low, which is excellent. 28% of the annual budget. Well, no, that's not. It's not December, that's only October, so that's 3 months into the year, into our fiscal year. So that's pretty much on target as well.
I had a question about that. I had read in the papers that the state was possibly seeing a budget shortfall. Was that in any way going to affect, libraries in the state in terms of state funding?
So it could in terms of things like bullet.
Yeah.
Well,
But
there's
not
money
the-
that comes from the state, a couple $1,000s, like 4,000 or something.
Oh, it's small potatoes,
It's very small potatoes.
right?
That possibly impact funding that goes to construction grants, but I think that's already been decided.
Right,
Trying to think if there's anything else that's, directly has to
Right.
do. with-
because the state legislature's meeting beginning on January. And I think there's a
The possibility
pretty
is-
large state.
Yeah.
Budget deficit in the state,
Right.
which,
Well,
It's
that,
getting-
it
it's
all
getting a lot
goes,
of
it
talk,
goes to
so.
WLS, so that, it may be that they have to up some fees. I don't know. I'm not
right,
sure.
all right, it's just something,
Yeah, I wish I could answer it better, but.
yeah, no, it's okay, I think it's just something for us to think about, pay attention to,
Yeah.
99.9% of our funding comes from
the community, right?
So. But you're right. New York City is closing some libraries, for example. There were some
I mean, the
articles.
mayor said something about over $1 billion deficit in the New York City budget, which is big.
Just to continue, now Rocky Smith noted that they've reviewed the bank statements and the bank reconciliations through October 2023. Chantel, you may have some insight here. They make note of one bill paid to Amazon that was expensed to miscellaneous. I don't think they're saying that that's a problem. I think they're just making note of that fact because I'm sure it involved a numerous purchases. Thus miscellaneous was probably the appropriate category. They do make note that, oh no, the Amazon amount does include books and supplies, and so they are suggesting that we break that out by line item, so we're gonna have to do that as a follow-up. They make note the library is awaiting the American Bankers refund. And that there are 12 checks outstanding over 6 months for $11,636. Are we in the process of, not to put you on the spot, but
We are, I've gotten feedback on two, but my primary focus has been the audit. Once I'm done finalizing with them, I'll finalize all the other drafts.
okay.
Do you want to move Jennifer to approve the treasurer's report?
Sorry. Just
Or no?
make sure I'm not missing anything. Yep. Okay, so I move that the board approve the October 2023 treasurer's report prepared by Now Rocky Smith, including the bills as presented. Do I
Second.
have a second?
Me too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Unanimous.
Don't have friends. Carolyn, can we turn to you?
Oh, okay. I didn't do the same sort of detail on that the other IT department has did as far as meetings, but, I've been meeting and I left off the rest of one sentence in there, in my director's report, but there's nothing, I don't think I have anything else to add.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Do you want to introduce Larry to the community then?
Anyway,
Well, so what do I do? I'm
Thank
the
you for
gallery
speaking to us tonight.
You're very welcome. I'm the gallery curator and graphic artist. I think a major part of my job is backing up Joan, doing programming. I'm her ear when it comes to music.
Okay.
So when we do the music program, a lot of those choices.
You're the expert.
Yeah. And it's been a pleasure working with Joan. Joan is great. And so, the gallery was closed for close to 4 years between construction and COVID. So I'm just starting to get back up and running with the program with it. And I have, shows lined up for the next 6 months that are terrific and have components that are going to be programs that come out of those. The next show that's going at the end of January is a couple, and basically, I can pull out some of their work. It's Beth DeWitt and her husband, Tony Jefferson. It's for Black History Month, so their work is directly related to that he's a wonderful jazz musician and visual artist, and she does these wonderful portraits that are racially and ecologically related. So it'll be interesting. I've also been doing a whole series of art talks in the past 4 years, and in February, actually, the Metropolitan is doing a Harlem Renaissance show, which is the first museum show in New York of that scale to do this. There was one at the Studio Museum in Harlem back in the 90s, I believe, but the scale of the space is nothing like the Metropolitan. So this is going to be really exciting. So, you know, there's a lot of things that are being pulled together for this.
that's great.
And then the next show that I'm going to do after that is on zines. Okay,
right.
so basically there's a couple, her name is Frogwing, or Elaine, she goes by a couple of different names, but they run a curio shop in Mount Kisco, and they're going to pull together zines from around the country and internationally. And we're gonna do an exhibit from that. And they will do some workshops with, I've spoken with Robin, and she's excited about it. And I haven't spoken with Kathy Paulson yet, but I know she's gonna be out of her mind. And we'll allow adults to come into it too.
Yeah.
So,
How
Yeah.
long do the exhibits typically run? Is it typically a month or?
it's at least 5 weeks, sometimes 6, you know, it depends. It's a lot of effort to put the shows up, so I'd like to keep them up as long as possible.
Do you have a sense of how many non-Newcastle residents come and visit the gallery?
I really don't know. I can't answer that. I know that anyone who comes into the library who has to go to the bathroom at some point passes through the gallery and gets stopped.
Right.
I mean, I watch them, so.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
Do you hang them or does the artist?
Oh, I hang them.
You hang.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's my job.
Okay.
It's a lot of work, but I've been doing this for 25 years at this point, and I know the space and I'm able to do that. So I think, you know, it's what I try and do with the shows is have it be some kind of an educational and, you know, unique sort of show and content. So,
There are other libraries that have galleries
Yes.
in Westchester County,
yes,
and you meet with them, you talk with them? Do you-
I know the other people
Uh-huh.
who run them for the most part. There's very few that have actual curators.
Yeah.
There's a couple, like Peekskill and Montrose. A lot of them do it by a board and choose people that way, and the artists are responsible to varying degrees for hanging the shows.
Like, we'll give you space when they,
Right.
okay.
Right,
Got it.
yeah.
Mhm.
But it makes a difference.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're coordinating these with programs. It's actually wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, it takes a bit of thinking to figure that one out. I'm also I am planning a series of children's book illustrators to come in and do shows too at this point. And they also like to do workshops. So we did integrate it into the budget for the gallery, some money for paying,
Mhm.
which we need to do.
Do you talk with, the Chappaqua Children's Book Festival group on the potential
I
illustrators? Do you
actually,
coordinate with them?
Robin is so good
Mhm.
that I really
Gotcha.
didn't do that, though I can.
You don't need
Uh,
to, yeah, I get it.
And I'd love to do a show that coordinates with that of maybe a group of children's book illustrators in the gallery at
Yeah.
that time, which I
Yeah.
think would be really a good crossover.
Would be,
It's like a fundraising.
at the time of the festival. you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mhm.
So the art talks, which actually took over my life for a period of time. I mean, I was doing it once a week during the peak of COVID, and I didn't realize until I stopped doing it, how much effort was going into it. And then we went to every 2 weeks and it was like, oh, I can breathe in between these things. But, you know, basically the outreach that comes through those talks is pretty remarkable. I mean, we get between 25 and 40 people for each talk live, but during the next month on the site, there's at least 40, if not 60 people that go and watch it.
Mhm.
Then it goes onto YouTube. And on YouTube, some of these things have hit 14,000
Wow.
people
Wow.
watching. It's remarkable what can happen with these. So the Chappaqua Library gets its name out there.
That's fantastic. When I was reviewing the adult program report from Joan, I mean, some of these numbers are just unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah.
The music program was really successful,
Mhm.
so that was really great, but this thing with it going on to YouTube, it's a totally different thing.
And you put it up on YouTube.
Actually, Carrie does.
Carrie did. Okay, great.
What do you strive for, in terms of the music, since you are so involved with that as well?
Well,
What do you look for?
I'm a jazz lover, so that's my main focus.
Okay.
But we get some good rock and we had a really wonderful, soulful gospel mix. They were really wonderful too. We'll have to try and get them back. This summer, I'm gonna try and get some country music and mixed into it too, but my first love is jazz, so there's gonna be more of that than anything else.
Mhm.
And Joan and I are gonna try meeting with the music department at SUNY Purchase and see what we can do about getting some student performers up here, which I think is a really good idea. They, I remember I went to Purchase, so I remember people out on the mall, just, impromptu music happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So
very-
love to see more of that.
It's in the courtyard?
We tried,
Well,
courtyard this summer, we only managed to get one done because of the weather, but it's, yeah, the courtyard. Yes, yeah. And it worked.
That's right, it rains like every weekend.
It
right?
rained
Every weekend for like
It
8
was
weeks.
like the curse of the Fridays.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. thank
I
you for
love
all
the
you do.
gallery.
I do too.
Yeah. Really great.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for speaking to the community. And for all you do. Okay. So next, I guess we turn to committees.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, finance.
finance is hard to do without Brian
Mhm.
and George
Mhm.
here. On building and grounds, I can tell you that, I have asked, Bill Link to give us a proposal for a generator. Which most libraries have. Most libraries serve as a warming station, et cetera, for
Mhm.
the community. So that's very common. So we'll see about that. We also talked further about the stream bed management. And have initiated some calls toward an RFP to get an engineer to weigh in on how best to manage the stream bed. I took some video this morning of the water. Carolyn saw it. I'll send it around to the board. It was amazing. It's like a river. It really is as precious as a rollicking river. And Bill and I were talking about, what, the parking lot, was perfectly accessible. Same time, like what if a child fell in, it's very frightening. So
Mhm.
we were talking about, do we build a rock wall? Do we, because we still have to allow drainage from the parking lot, so it's complicated.
Mhm.
So.
Are there implications for the DEP on that? Because I mean, it's not really a stream, it was a ditch that was sort of dug around the perimeter, but it flows into Yonkers and
It flows into the sawmill.
to the sawmill,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so yes, there are all sorts of
All sorts of-
regulatory bodies that may need to get involved, but that's the benefit of hiring a professional engineer, is that they will know.
Don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, I'm not sure where that line gets drawn, you know, does it get drawn when it goes into the culvert that goes under Greeley and joins the, you know, makes its way to the sawmill versus, as you said, basically what's meant to be a ditch to
Right.
almost like a French drain around
Yeah.
our property, right?
Which was wetlands.
Yes.
Right, which there's
So-
such restrictions on how do you touch it?
Any
Yeah,
wetlands,
yeah,
right,
it could be,
wetlands.
yeah.
Although interestingly, those restrictions are town restrictions and
Mhm.
we're outside of town jurisdiction. But worse, maybe under federal.
Yeah,
So yes, complicated.
The town might
Which
be
is
more
why-
complicated.
Which is why we would get experts involved.
Mhm.
Let's see. Think of any of this is, I think the rest of this is all moving along well. Chantel, anything to comment in terms of the theater AV project?
Nope, still on schedule to start February.
Personnel, John?
Personnel, that's me. So. Question. Marge is here.
Yeah.
The holiday calendar? Is that taken care of
No,
for 2024?
no, it's actually asked to possibly approve that this evening and then hold off on the employee handbook. So approve the holiday schedule and then hold off on the employee handbook until
Okay.
further discussion.
So I understand that there was meetings with council regarding some stuff.
Yeah. Councils submitted their recommended version of the handbook,
Right.
which the committees reviewed.
Review, right.
Well, actually, I should say the board portion of the committee reviewed, and then it was provided to the staff
Right.
segment of the committee.
Okay.
Carolyn and Marge have provided comments.
And some suggestions we thought,
Okay.
yeah.
I think we've got a few areas of controversy and I'm trying to chart those to show what we had before, what councils recommended and any comments and
Right.
recommended changes so that
Right,
the committee can make a
got it.
decision.
But for your purposes, March, you wanted to get the calendar approved so that you could do scheduling for 2024.
I just wanted to make sure there was no issue with the calendar, the way it was presented. It follows the employee handbook as we currently have it, so if you're fine with that.
Are we okay with that, with where the holiday calendar falls, or?
I'm
other-
trying,
We will.
I'm guessing from memory, the one change that was proposed is that we will not again
The Veterans Day question,
address both an official and an observed holiday for a single holiday
right,
with two closures. We'll have
and
one
the
closure.
issues were 4th of July and Veterans Day, right?
That's
There are no
four
issues for the
holidays.
coming year.
Christmas,
Correct, right, Marge had said there's no issues.
No issues for
For 2024.
Okay,
Right, so we can, when we do the employee handbook, we can figure out how to deal with that. Carolyn and I have really good suggestions, I think.
okay,
For cleaning that up so that there's no question.
mhm,
But we don't have to worry about it for 2024.
okay.
it's good.
And can you go on and make your schedules?
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's not a problem because we've been talking about it for 3 or 4
Yeah, they're talking about.
Yeah, so you've all seen it, you're good with it, I'm all wrong with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to make a separate motion of approving, do we?
Probably do.
Okay, so I'll make,
We don't have a copy in the packet, do we? But it's been
Yeah.
in the prior packet.
Well, I don't have a wording for it, it just simply says approval for 2024 holiday schedule.
Right.
right, so I'm happy to make a motion.
I believe the dates were in the November 7th packet.
Okay, so I make a motion
To
to approve
calendar,
the calendar, the 2024 holiday calendar.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Does that help you, Marge? That's good.
Yeah, I have to go through the coming year, do the curbside, do the holidays.
Right, no,
all the
it's
employees,
a
so, yeah,
huge,
Set that up
It's a
at
huge-
Paylocity.
Not gonna
Mhm,
change
mhm.
it, so, yeah.
right, right. And just to jump, Marge, since we're talking,
Thank you.
you're on leave for the entire month of January, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay,
but I will be working, as it turns out, so.
okay, so benefits, I'm just reading here from the agenda. Chantel is trained to go for the benefits issues, right? Yes.
She will submit the December retirement report, and I will submit January report when I come back.
Okay,
Okay, all of the other benefits, onboarding and payroll stuff, I will come hell or high water, get it done from Australia.
okay. Great.
I heard they have electricity.
In Australia?
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
incredible.
yeah. But everything's upside down though, you know, it's
Correct.
kind of funny that way.
That's right.
Great.
Do we have-
Is there, I see retirement here. Are there announced retirements coming up or do we know? Or is
Or is that like part of a fund
that,
where it says entries will be made in December and again in February?
I'm sorry, what are you?
I'm reading here from the agenda. It says retirement : entries will be made in December and again in
That's what
February.
she
That's what
just
she
mentioned.
addressed. So I'll be doing December and January, early January. She'll do for January and February when she returns.
It's just a matter of entering data.
Yeah.
Ah, got it.
After the. end.
For past retirees.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Chantal is already trained to do that.
Right. And just not going in order here, but that the Westchester County minimum wage as of January 1st is going up to $16 an hour. We have 4 pages who are currently paid below that, and they will be increased to $16 an hour to be in accordance with Westchester County minimum wage.
Do we have those names, John?
I'm sorry,
Do we have the names of those pages?
do we have the names of
Make a
those
motion.
pages? I don't have those names.
No, I don't.
Right,
Anyone who is earning less than 16 will be bumped up.
okay.
I think that's the motion. Okay,
A motion to raise the salary of 4 pages who are currently paid at a rate below the Westchester County minimum wage to $16 an hour, effective January 1st, in accordance with Westchester and New York State law.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye, good. Okay.
And the hiring.
The hiring of the circulation clerk,
Mhm.
whose name I don't know.
It's in the board packet.
It's in the board packet.
Shane.
Thank you.
I just want to point out in the reading of this motion that there's a conflict. There's a higher effective 1/1/2024.
Oh, yeah.
And then, the motion says beginning January 2nd, 2024. Let's make it effective the 2nd, because the first is a holiday.
Oh, okay. Okay, so change the motion. To 1-2.
Okay, motion, move that the board approve the appointment of Shane Aiello to a vacant position of full-time circulation clerk at the rate of $25 an hour, budgeted at 35 hours per week, beginning on January 2nd, 2024.
I second it.
All in favor?
Just for discussion, that this replaces similar hours, et cetera, right?
We had combined a number
Right.
of positions. to
Right.
create this position.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
beautiful.
Marge, apologies. The pages, however, would be 1-1,
We'll do it.
not 1-2. The pages increase would be one,
The pay to
If you want
salary
a
increase
motion
one.
to say 1, 2, the,
the
The minimum
rationale,
wage,
Oh, just say 1, 2?
Sorry.
No, it should be 1, it'll be effective.
'Cause it's
1/1.
law.
If that
because
doesn't
it's
matter,
law.
I just didn't want him to start on.
right, a
Yeah.
holiday. Okay, that makes sense.
I think that covers the. Oh, there's also this question around the facilities manager, but I don't have any more information about that.
Yeah, I'd say
We're gonna
our,
wait. till-
our next steps
director.
are facilities manager and our assistant to the library director, right?
Right, I make a motion to not make any motions until.
Oh, yeah.
a library
This is just
director.
discussion,
Right,
yeah.
okay,
Okay.
Make a motion not to make.
not to make a motion.
Here,
Uh,
let's. ignore
Oy vey.
has that been discussed with the candidate that will be looking for? Like, one of the issues we had with our
With the
prior
staff.
director was an assistant.
Correct, we talked about billing, billing administrative needs.
Okay,
That was kind of it.
okay,
Yes,
that there was an intent to do so.
correct.
Okay. When we walk through the labyrinth, that is civil service.
Right. Moving on to policy and bylaw.
Yeah, was that it for personnel?
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, so for policy and bylaw, I actually, I don't know why it's not in the packet, but all the ALA policies have been updated, will be updated to reflect current date. That there have been no changes, they have been reviewed and will reflect as such on the website.
Okay,
Okay,
I don't think we need a motion for that.
okay.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
just to let you know, so, all right,
They've been reviewed.
they
and
have
that
been
will be-
reviewed and that's noted.
Thank you both for, in particular for,
Okay, the new, I want to say that the new, now, none of these policies are in the board packet. The new credit card policy, okay, so it's not in there, but
They're all done.
they're all done,
Every one of them is done, yeah.
correct?
But there's some that, some of them, a fair number of them, I said, this looks fine to me, you know, and I said,
Correct.
yeah. Just be updated, but there were so many duplications. I mean, just, you know, and so I went through and sort of tried to, sort it out and say, I think you can get rid of this and this and add
Mhm.
this to this and that'll be fine.
And
You know?
we have copies of all that, so we'll
we'll have
actually
it in
make
the
more
January
of a
packet.
motion in
Yeah, so
January.
I think that
Yes.
it's a little bit more complicated,
Mhm.
so,
perfect. Yeah, it's just on here for discussion. purposes.
Correct.
yeah.
So every single policy has been dealt with. We can check that off and it will, and really Karen,
Exercise.
again, I can't thank Carolyn enough
Yeah.
just for
Taking that.
taking the
project on.
time to
Wow.
work with me on this. It's really been great. And passing everything on to John.
I'll read them first. I've been at the library open in 3 days.
And so moving down, we covered the search committee.
Communications, Carolyn, I'll throw that to you. With George not here, just a general question of, have we heard anything further on, from the community on
I have
relative?
March, you deal with the community, I'm back in Siberia in my office, but have you heard anything about the website?
I'm loving it, I'm finding everything I need on it, I'm the only person that matters, but other than that.
She's feeling
Everything matters, you know. Even, somebody who doesn't ever look at the website is looking at it today and says, this is great.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think I think she did a really fine job on it,
Easy,
and she seems to update it
consistent.
right away, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and we all have our ability to kind of get in there and make the changes we need too, so that's.
Oh, well, that's really important because that was,
There was a bit of a log.
that was everything.
One thing I'll throw to you, Carolyn, George checked with council, because we had questions raised on the historical board documents. A decision was made, frankly, from a cost perspective that, rather than convert, the addition of all that had been on the prior
Oh,
website.
yeah.
Anyway, so council recommended that we include minutes back to November 1st, 2021. I'll send you an email to confirm that's the date, but I believe that's the date off the top of my head. So we're going to have to do the work to add, those documents to our website.
Okay,
And that date's based on a change of law requiring
okay.
the minutes on the website. Oh, forgive me, it's right. Oh, well, you don't have this. I'll leave it there. It's November 8th. I misstated.
November
8th, 2020. Any other items
No,
for the group?
nope.
Any other items that you want to address, Carolyn? Chantel, are we missing anything important?
No,
Okay.
Yeah. I will need you to come in to sign a couple things.
Okay, perfect. So our next board meeting is scheduled for January 23rd, 2024. Which sounds so
Is it
strange.
23rd or 22nd?
23rd, and that's not a Monday, which is why you're asking. And that's
No, I was
because
just-
of
yeah.
the holiday.
So Martin Luther King, right?
Presidents.
President,
George
sorry.
Washington. Yeah,
So what day of the week is?
it's a Tuesday. It's one of the oddities.
Okay,
There are a few, and most of them are in the first quarter because of the
Yeah,
number of
because of-
holidays.
yeah,
Okay.
so there won't be a special, there'll just be a one.
But you see, like, under the,
So I just want to, can I
I
get,
don't see this. Like, with the regular meetings.
23rd.
No, that's twenty twenty-three, right? We don't have 2024 meetings up on the website.
No, I noticed that today, but then I had gone, that's why I'm asking, because when I had gone back to the document that was
And
shared
we've
by
got
Jennifer, it was the
special.
22nd.
Right,
It's weird. isn't it?
yes, it is. So we have to adjust that.
What does it mean?
Well. I've got Martha's holiday schedule. There you go.
so the next meeting then, just to be clear, is going to be,
I'm checking. I've got like a laminated version of it. No, incorrect.
You have
It's
122.
scheduled to be. No, blue are the. Regular would be
Mhm.
122. One change, you're right. Look at you. Such a
so it's
memory.
Monday, the 22nd?
Monday, the 22nd changed because of MLK
Yeah.
Day, which Pam was correct. We
Monday
do
change.
have a special meeting noted for January 4th,
But we're
which
gonna
is the
revisit,
first Thursday.
we're gonna
of the
revisit
month,
that because it's about, we're gonna revisit
Exactly.
that.
Which is
Okay.
why I didn't put it on.
Perfect. So you don't have to put that.
I'm just gonna put Monday, January 22nd.
Thanks, Chantel, for
Perfect.
questioning that.
So it's stayed the 23rd, right?
No, forgive me, the 22nd.
22nd.
Can I just so we can be clear, by that meeting, is the expectation that the employee handbook will be fully discussed and ready to be voted on? Is that what we're hoping for, or
No,
no?
because Marge will be gone.
March will be gone. So regarding the employee handbook, what's the reasonable goal for
February board meeting,
February board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
unless we
Take a
hold
take a
this.
Look at it. We did a lot of work,
yeah, no, I just wanted to sort of
you know.
create a goal here, so February.
Which
will
is
be-
awkward, because it would have been nice to start 1/1,
Right.
but it didn't
It
happen.
is what it is, okay,
Mm-hmm.
right. And then we'll have the new director at the January 22nd meeting, no,
Probably not,
Probably not.
February.
February meeting.
February. Okay,
Cause they're not scheduled to start until February 12th.
February's 2/26 is
Yeah,
our
okay,
regular
got it.
meeting,
That
so
makes sense.
so that individual will be on board at that point in time.
Okay.
So that
Fine.
works. Yeah, that's right. Our cadence is fourth Monday, for regular meetings, right? Okay, any further issues? John, do you want to close the meeting?
I move to close the meeting at 8:05 PM.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
8:05, here we go. Done.
Thank you all.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for letting us call on you mid-meeting.
Yes, thank you.
And
Thanks
you.
for coming tonight.